All right, welcome back to the Fit Fatherhood Podcast. I'm your host, Rod, and today I have with me Mikel Brown, a father, obviously, because everybody we bring on is a father. He has three little girls, and he's also a podcaster. So we got to get into that a little bit later, too. Mike, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, man?
All right, so this happens all the time, man. So my name is Mikel. It happens all
Mikel.
the time. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. It happens all the time. So my name is Mikel. I'm originally from New York City. I've lived in Atlanta. Now we reside in Charlotte. I've been married 12 years. I have three beautiful daughters. They're 10, 4, and 5. I developed a career in banking. So I've done everything from teller all the way to branch manager. Now I actually train bankers. So that's what I do for a profession 9 to 5. I also graphic designer, and just recently my wife and I got back together after separating for about a year and 2 months and decided that we wanted to share our story. So that's how our podcast started.
That's dope. That's dope. So what's the name of the podcast?
So the name of the podcast is Before You Go There. And basically what it is before you go there, it's like a double-edged sword. So before you get married, these are the things you should know. While you're married, before you get into a heated argument, these are the things you should know. And the analogy we use all the time is marriage is like chocolate. If you have a candy bar and it melts, eventually evaporates and it fades away. So if you put it back in the freezer, it's not going to have that same shape. So with marriage, the more you argue, the more there's miscommunication, your marriage can start to disseminate and eventually fade away. And sometimes, thankful to God, we didn't end up getting divorced, but sometimes it could end up into divorce. And then, you have so many different other things, child support and what to do with the kids and things of that nature. So that's the skeleton of what our podcast is about.
I like it, man. I like that chocolate analogy, man. That it really makes it make sense, right? Like everybody understands chocolate melting, right? So that's dope. I like that. So
listen, we figured that analogy out through counseling.
Okay.
Counseling, bro. Yeah, okay. I have an individual counselor. She has an individual counselor, and then we have a marriage counselor. They are actually certified counselors. So we're not doing the mom and pop. These are certified counselors that have degrees in this. They know about the stat. They provide us with actual stats. So yeah, actually we had a session on Tuesday, and I said to our marriage therapist, I said, hey, just to let you know, I stole your chocolate analogy, and I'm gonna let the world know about it. She's like, that's fine. So yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. But shouts out to her for that one.
Yeah, that's nice, man. That's a good one. There's no way to mess that one up. Right.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
All right. So you guys have been married for 12 years, correct?
Right.
And 12 years. The three girls. So 10, and then you had like a gap there, right?
Right.
So with how does that? Because I got two, and they're like back to back, right? Like one just turned 9, the other one is about to turn 7. So like it was one, and then the other one came right behind it. How's it with that gap?
So when we had the 10-year-old, it's not like we wasn't trying.
Okay.
So, it was just like planning when everything happened, when it happened. So, but it really helped, man, because I'm very competitive. And so in my 10-year-old, she has that competitive gene in her.
Okay.
And so what I started to do now is she's the leader of her sisters.
Okay.
So like if I give her a chore, and she's like, well, Daddy, I couldn't do it. I said, we don't accept excuses. I was like, you give that to your sisters because you're the leader of the pack. You delegate that to your sisters. So it works. And especially, man, I'm going to tell you when it really helped. When my wife and I were separated, because she would do things for her sister that a dad wouldn't want to do for their daughters, like, washing them up how they need to be washed. Yeah. Right. So she would, if she would get upset, she was like, oh, Daddy, I don't want to do it. But I would be like, Alex, listen, this is the opportunity for you to develop your leadership skills. We're not followers. Your sisters follow you because you're leading them. So that was that. But the crazy thing is the 4 and 5-year-old, they're 11 months apart. Literally, one's birthday is January 4th. The other is January 29th.
Oh, wow.
So for those few days, they're the same age.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Now that was tough. That was tough having them so close together because we basically treated them like twins.
Yeah.
So, having that long Cadillac stroller, while one is crying because they're hungry, the other one's crying because they need to be changed. And bro, don't even get me started on daycare. Don't even get me started on that. So that was the challenge. Thankful enough, we didn't have to pay daycare for all three at one time, but we did have to do two at a time.
Yeah. That's one of the things that people don't mention to you, right? Like, before you have kids, right? They tell you it's going to be expensive, right? And you're thinking,
right.
Oh, diapers and food.
Right.
Okay, yeah. But that daycare, man, that daycare is a monster. Like, yo, can y'all hurry
ridiculous, man.
Y'all hurry up and go to school? Like, Jesus Christ, I'm paying rent.
So you still get in school. You still get in school because you pay after school.
Yeah.
So, it's not as much. So it's like, okay, so now, for instance, my 5-year-old just went to kindergarten and my 4-year-old is in pre-K. So my 10-year-old, we still pay after school, but now she wants to do cheerleading. So those expenses from before now transfer there, but it's fine because I'm just like, thankful enough we're in a situation where we don't have to say we can't do that right now.
Right.
Right. So, but yeah, they like you said, they said, oh, you should have more kids. Oh yeah, you should pay this daycare bill. Yeah, how about that?
Yeah, for sure. It's something I want to go back to, and that I thought I was just listening to you talk about, kind of having your daughter be the leader and kind of teaching her those leadership skills. Like that's really cool because at a young age, she's getting the experience of being not the boss, but like, being able to delegate duties and understand tasks that she can handle and tasks that maybe they can do. And that's like, I mean, dude, you're giving her like $1 million worth of game at 10 years old. Like she's learning how to.
Because I have to, man, because if not, my daughter is, she's a creative like me.
Okay.
So, she likes to do nails, she does the makeup. And so, oh man, like I want to say about a month ago, I was sitting at home working and I got an alert from my credit card. And it was like just purchases from Walmart, purchases from Amazon. So I'm like, what are all these purchases? So my daughter went and ordered her nails. So she does like the press on nails.
Uh-huh.
So I didn't know at the time. So I called my credit card and I'm like, hey, I got all these fraudulent transactions. I didn't do them. So they cut my card. And so then my wife comes inside. My daughter literally ordered the acrylic machine that the ladies put the nails under because she was making the nails to sell at school.
Wow.
So it's like, okay, do I get mad at her for using my credit card and not telling me? Or do I encourage because this is the entrepreneur side of her? Right. So I didn't stand it because I was upset. Like I was livid. But I'm big on, this is something that I learned with my individual therapist. I'm big on meditating now. Like I've been meditating now probably about 3 or 4 months. So I sat in my chair, put my guided meditation on because I wanted to handle it the right way.
Mm-hmm.
So while doing that and sitting in silence, I came up with this. I said, so that $300 that you spent, Daddy gave you a loan. I said, so now for every set of nails that you sell, you have to give me half of the money until you pay the $300 off. Truthfully, I'm not going to really make her pay. She will be paying $300 forever because, she can't really sell it in school. She can do it at camp, but she can't do it in school because she'll get in trouble. Mm-hmm. So just teaching those skill sets. So when she graduates from high school, if she says, Dad, I don't want to go to college because these are the skill sets that I've acquired, I'll be okay with that. I don't want education to be forced down her throat. Now, granted, I'm a huge advocate of it. I just don't want it to be something that is her only option.
Right.
Yeah.
I like that. So a couple things. One, that's dope that you turned it into a loan, right? Because you're teaching her. Yeah. You're teaching her business, right? Along with the leadership you already given her. She's got the entrepreneurial spirit. Okay, well, this is what happens, right? If you don't have the funding, then you got a loan to get the funding. So now you got to pay back the loan like that. That's invaluable, right? Because that's stuff that a lot of people we don't learn about, because we're like, school is teaching you how to be an employee, right?
Right.
Nobody's really teaching you how to be an entrepreneur, but she's getting that early. And that's super cool. Super cool.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah. The other thing is a lot of people, one, you've talked about your counselor several times already. And that's one thing that I'm big on is my wife is actually a therapist. So
okay.
I don't really have a choice, right? Like, it's in the house all the time. But it's one of the things that I think as men, as Black men specifically, like, we have shied away from, that could be super helpful in just in our life in general, whether there's problems or not, right? Like, it's like she always says, it's like an oil change, right? You can wait to get the oil change when something happens to the car, or you can just keep it on a scheduled maintenance, right? Like, it's been let's go get this oil change. It doesn't have to be something wrong with it, right? Getting an oil change doesn't mean the car is broke down. It just means it's time to go back and check in. And therapy for a lot of people is like, oh, my life is good, I don't need a therapist, or like, things are good, I'm doing okay. But in all honesty, it could be something that just keeps you good, right? Like, it doesn't have to be a situation where things have to be bad. And you mentioning that, and even meditation is so cool. My wife and I actually have a separate podcast, and I'm gonna plug it here, even though I typically don't talk about it on here. Where we talk about meditation, because that's her field. So we talk. It's called Meditate, Motivate, and Movement. So we talk about meditation, and we talk about, things that motivate you. And then we talk about some fitness stuff as well. But meditation is so important because it allows you the opportunity to respond instead of react. Right.
Right.
Like, you're in that situation, you're frustrated, and you want to react, but you took the time to sit it down, and you were able to respond with a better solution. Right.
Right. Yeah. This wouldn't have been me a year ago, man. It wouldn't have been me a year ago, because, a year ago I would have been reactive. And so last year with the separation, I spent a lot of time, although I spent a lot of time, I didn't spend a lot of time alone. I spent a lot of time alone. And so what I mean by that is, and this is like, I'm open. So although I was getting the satisfaction of, let's say different women in the moment, it wasn't the satisfaction of partnership and being able to share. So in that, it was like, okay, well, if this becomes my new norm, I need to mentally be in a place of execution. So executing at being a good dad every other week, executing as far as my health, executing as far as my the way I think, executing around the people in my circle. So in doing that, I spent a lot of time of really, really thinking. But truthfully, man, meditating and counseling, that I just started that this year because I knew, okay, well, let's just try something different. Let's try something different. And in trying something different is one of the books that I'm reading. He's a really good, he's a neuroscientist, and he talks about people try to fix things based on what you know, because you know nothing different. So you try to fix it off, again, what you know in your mind. And so it was like, okay, if I want to do different and get different results, now I have to expand the space in my brain, and I have to rewire my brain. And so that's really what it's been about, man, and just understanding that I have a greater cause and a greater purpose. Because again, I am a natural reactor. And the reason why I'm a natural reactor, I was a natural reactor. I'm a big dude, man. I'm 245, 300 pounds. I mean, I'm 6'2", 300 pounds. Like, that's not a small dude.
Right.
Being from New York City is like, oh, okay, I'm gonna come handle you real quick. Oh, I'm gonna handle this real quick. So that's just how it was. But understanding, if I had a son, I wouldn't mind showing my son to be a reactor, so to alleviate being bullied. But now with my daughters, and even with me, I would rather react to you mentally than physically, because if you do something to me, it's always going to be in your mind, how will I respond?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so now if we're in a room together and you know you've done something ill towards me and my family, and I'm not verbalizing or I'm not physically responding, you're going to be the one in the room uncomfortable, because now you're going to always think, what is he thinking, or how will he respond? And I'm just going to be enjoying myself. So you're the one, my wife said it's a narcissistic thought, but whatever. You're going to be the one, you're going to be the one uncomfortable.
Yeah. That's really, I haven't thought about it that way, but yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. I mean, I think as guys, we are always like a react, it's just society, right? And just like how you grow up, where you grow up, right? Like if you don't react, like you said, then you become the one, right? And then people feel like they could just run over you. Until you have to go up you have to go upside somebody's head every once in a while.
Right.
You know, I tell my daughters, you know, they haven't had any problems or anything, but like it's hard for me because that's where I come from. And so the other day, some girl in school was like touching my daughter's hair, and she told her not to do it, and the girl wouldn't stop. And then eventually she stopped. Like it didn't escalate, but I was like, look, she touched her hair again, you might have to put your hands on her. Like it just,
you need to handle her.
And then my wife was behind me, and she's like, no, you don't put your hands on. I was like, look. You use your resources. Now you got to use your hand. Like, you know what I mean? Like I had that thought after she told me and we talked about it. If that had been my son, I might have been like, yo, don't even say nothing. Like, just look, stop touching me, man. I need my space. I'm trying to be better with that, right? I'm trying to be better and not teach them to be that way. But also understanding that sometimes reaction and force is necessary, but as a last resort, right?
Absolutely. No, trust me, I understand. And again, my daughter, my 10-year-old, I want to say Alex she has to be at least like 5'2". And so like she's slim, she's petite, but she's tall. And you know, like I told her, I said, listen, no one gets a break. No one gets a break.
Yeah.
If they approach you and they make you feel uncomfortable, you do what you have to do to defend yourself. You won't get in trouble when you get home, as long as it's justified. When I ask the why, you tell me they did X, Y, and Z. Because, you know, and another thing too, I've been bullied and I've been a bully. So I know both sides of it. Me being bullied turned me into a bully, because I would bully those that bullied other people.
Right.
You know, and even now to this day, I don't have a problem with speaking up for people. Yeah, I don't have a problem, because what makes you feel that it's okay for you to say what you want to say to that person?
Right.
Because you know they're not going to stand up for themselves.
Right. Yeah.
So,
a man of the people, the advocate. Right.
I don't mind. I don't mind. Yeah, and I know it's always somebody bigger, somebody always taller, but in this instance, hey, you know what? If I have to do that for the person, then I have to do it.
Yeah. You know what? I had a question for you. I've never been in this situation. I've lived through it as a kid, but like having you know, my parents be separated and they eventually got divorced, and you didn't get that far. But like, how is that? Like, you know, because I only got to see. Well, eventually I got to the point where I got to see my dad like every other week, or it was like a couple months in the summer, or you know what I mean. And that was tough, going from being together to not being together. But I never experienced it as a father, right? I don't know what his experience, and I never even asked him. I never even thought to ask him what it was like. But I'm curious, like, what is that experience like? Because I know some other dudes that are going through it, and you've obviously made it through. So maybe you have some insight on how to make it work.
Bro, last year was the hardest year of my life ever. And it started out, I would say, with the conversation of, I'm not going to fail at this. Like that's just what it was. I'm not going to fail at this. So my wife and I, we agreed that, one, our girls would not travel with luggage. That's the first thing. Two, for me, initially she thought that I was doing this to say, oh, I had to buy everything over, but I was okay not having anything because the mom's a nurturer. So all the toys and stuff were at my wife's house when we were separated.
Okay.
So the only thing I had was when we separated, the only thing I took a 42-inch TV, the kitchen table, and that was it. So I was like, okay, the first thing I need to buy is a bed. So when we first separated, she had them for that week. So I had kind of time and like, all right, let me find a bed, get a bed or whatever. And I bought a toddler bed because at the time the littlest one was 3. So I bought a toddler bed. I had her mattress for her toddler bed, and I had one mattress. So again, I walk in my apartment and that's all I see, right? Like I'm just like, and every day it was a new, like I literally would go in my bathroom and cry, like literally. And I would say, God, if I'm going through this for somebody else, I'm willing to go through this for somebody else. So each week, the way that because they didn't have toys that, and I would say to them, I would have to be like, don't worry, it's going to be, every time y'all come here, Daddy, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. And my daughter would be like, it's okay, Daddy. The oldest one. She's like, it's okay, Daddy. So what I would do is, on the weeks that I didn't have them, like I was saying, I would buy something because I know they had show and tell. So that's how I built their toys up. And so for my oldest daughter, I knew she liked to watch like YouTube and stuff like that. So what I did was, and it's so crazy because it's in we got a loft that we created a movie room. So in my apartment, I just basically made a movie theater for her. I built the screen, bought the projector. That was her space. So then it was like, okay, I had all of their beds, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like just watching my bank account just deplete. And so now like I'm buying beds. And so it was just a progress. But the biggest moment, man, for me, as a man, we stay strong, but I cry, like I don't care. But the biggest moment for me that I really think changed it was my daughter. We were up getting, because normally her hair is braided. So one thing my wife would do to take that off of me, which I really appreciated, on the weeks that I had them, we would pay to get their hair done that Sunday. So the 2 little ones would have braids. And if my oldest one, if she wanted braids, we'll get the knotless braids or whatever, or we'll just let her hair get blown out. For this particular week, she wanted a blowout. So, I'm like, all right, whatever. So she woke up. It was like Tuesday morning she woke up. I'm getting dressed. She's getting dressed. And she like screams my name. She's like, Daddy. So I'm like, what's going on? I run in the bathroom. So she's holding her head like this. And she's crying. Because when she combed her hair down, it looked horrible. And she's crying. And she's like, Daddy, I'm trying to fix it. Daddy, I'm trying to fix it. Like, I'm like, okay, I don't really know what to do. So I went back in the bathroom and I broke down. Like that was my breakdown moment. I broke down and I went back to her and I was like, Daddy will make sure this never happens again. So went to work. I was talking to some of my coworkers and I was like, listen, y'all got to tell me what I got to buy because I can't have my baby crying. And so they was like, all right, what's going on? So I bought a flat iron. I bought jam. I made sure I bought the little net to go with their bonnet. Like I just made sure I had everything because I didn't want them to feel like, oh, if they came to daddy house, it was like this. And if they was at mommy's house, it was like this. I didn't want them to feel that. I just wanted it to be a transition. And so from that point, it didn't happen. And so it was really, really important for me to try to build a bond because I would come home from work. I would be so tired. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I got to make food for them. So those type of things, like creating a schedule, like truthfully, I was mom and dad every other week. And it was really, really hard. And I think, so we actually, and at that point, we actually had the girls, we had them in counseling too. And so they were just saying, it's really for them, it's just they had to get used to the different environment. And that's what it was, man. I would say it was hard. And the other challenge was when we decided to get back together, were we doing this because we know that we needed each other and we wanted to be back to each other with each other for genuine love and accepting each other for who we are and willing to grow, or were we doing this for the kids? And we both literally said, no, we're not doing this for the kids. And we made it known for everyone that knew that we were getting back together. We literally said, hey, we want y'all to know we're not doing this for our kids. We're not getting back together for our kids, because one thing that we did learn in that year, that the kids will be okay because it will become their new norm. You know, and so now, and the perfect example of that is it was becoming their new norm, because when we got back together, they remember, oh, this would have been daddy's week, or this would have been mommy's week. But now, you know, now they don't even say it anymore. But initially, that's how it was. Like, it'll be like, daddy, you coming back? Or mommy, you coming back? Because before we got our house, she came to my apartment, and everything was just perfect timing, man, because I ended up getting COVID. You know, like if she wasn't there, like I probably would have died, because you know how we are. Oh, this is just a cold. You know, like, yeah, you know, this is just a cold. I'm all right. I'm all right. And she was like, babe, you need to go get tested. And I went and got tested, and I had COVID. She had to take care of me for those 14 days. Me and my oldest daughter. Can you imagine being locked in a room with a 10-year-old for 14 days? Yeah, it was a complete disaster. So, you know, that's really, I would say the biggest thing, man, was just really being determined not to fail at it. Because again, let's be realistic. Statistically proven, most men wouldn't have their kids every other week. You know, maybe they have them every other weekend. And then and another thing, I refused to be in a situation to where she would have to make me pay child support. I refused.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to do that. I've been too good of a dad to my kids. And she understood that. She never once said, oh, I want to take you to court for child support or anything like that, because I was an involved dad.
Yeah.
But I refused to put myself in that position and to be another statistic in a courtroom in front of a judge dictating when I see my kids and how much money I'm entitled to give my kids. So that's what it looked like for me.
Man, well, thank you for that, man. I appreciate that. That gave me
absolutely.
When you talked about you know, having a situation with your daughter and her hair, like I felt that, right? Because it's one of those situations, or really it don't even have to be that situation. It could be like anything where you feel like as a man, as a father, like it's a powerless situation. Like, I don't know how to help you. Like, I can't, right. I don't like that hits you. That hits you like,
yeah.
Like, man. So I felt that. Like I got little chills, little like, man, jeez.
Yeah.
So yeah, like that's the, you know what's cool about it though is your mindset through the whole thing, right? Your mindset it was strong, right? Like you've been a good father up to that point. Like there's no reason for that to change, right? Like that role, that responsibility is always yours, regardless of what happens.
Period.
And another. So there's no reason for that to change. Like you are who you are, and regardless of what happens with that person, like you still have to be who you are determined to be. And I think sometimes, like I talk to some guys, and it's like, you know, my baby's mom or my ex-wife, she want me to see the kids, or like she's doing this, and like, dog, you still gotta be you. You still gotta be daddy. Like,
period.
You gotta show up. You gotta be present.
Yep.
No matter what happens with her and you, that don't have it. Like, and not even in a separation situation, like in your household together right now, if me and my wife are arguing or got problems, they have to be. And I don't know if you can hear them. They're in there making a bunch of noise right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I got the doors closed too, because mine, yeah, I'm surprised they're not. Yeah.
Yeah. But they have to be, they still have to be on track. Like me and my wife are dealing with our situation and not on the same page, but they better be on the same page.
They have to be, man.
Still moving forward.
They have to be, because it can affect them in so many different ways. And, you know, like, and a lot of people ask me this all the time, because, you know, in my bio, I said my dad died when I was 8. Mm-hmm. So my mom is such a strong woman, and she's had to be for so long, because when my father died, it was still me and my 2 sisters. So I'm the youngest, but my brother and my older sister, they were already gone. So my mom still had to be strong for the 3 of us, mm-hmm. you know. And like my brother, I learned how to be a parent for my brother, because my brother had kids that were in different homes. but the level of closeness that these kids have, you would never know that.
Yeah.
They call each other, they love each other. If somebody's having an event, they're all there. Like that's just the level, that's the bond that he created.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's so funny because he would always tell me, never be an educated employee all your life. You know, because again, the model was graduate from high school, go to college, get your master's, get married, have kids, live life happily ever after. That's the model. And my mom would always say, Mikel, you know, as a business major, you want to know anything, pay attention to, I'm gonna be real, pay attention to these white men on the news.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna show you how to dress, they're gonna show you how to talk, they're gonna show you how to behave. And that's the model. And I have to make sure, like you said, I remember, man, one of my, I hate to use the word mentors. Like I feel like it's overrated, overused.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't found a place. One of my examples told me when my wife had our first child, he said, because she was going out, and I was like, yeah, I'm about to go babysit the kids. He said, you're never a babysitter. Those are your kids. You'll never be a babysitter. And so that's something that just resonated with me. Like, these are my kids. I'm not a babysitter. They had to go get their hair done today. Guess what I had to do? Get up and take them.
Yeah.
You know, that's just what it is, because the more involved we are, especially as Black dads,
Yeah.
we set the tone for what our daughters are willing to accept.
Yep.
You know, and in doing that, if we got to ask ourselves, well, you know, were we the example for our daughters?
Right.
Did we treat their mom how we want a man to treat them? And those are really, like I said, man, I had a lot of time to really think last year and determine the trajectory of how I wanted my life to look and how I wanted to be remembered by my girls. Because the intention was for us not to get back together. It wasn't. People used to say, oh, I'm going to pray for y'all together. I said, yo, don't pray for me. Don't pray for me. Like,
yeah.
Straight up. Like,
Yeah.
you know, because I would be honest. Because I'd be like, it ain't happening. But there's somebody's prayer, as long as somebody's prayer reaches further than me saying don't.
Yeah, somebody had a straight line on that thing.
Right. For real, man.
Something you said just now is I think really important to note is how you treat their mom, especially, well, I mean, not even just daughters, sons too, because your relationship with them is like their first relationship with a man, right? Like your daughter's first relationship with a man, and how you present the things that you do and how you act, how you walk, how you talk will later, right? Like at some point, she's going to find those qualities in somebody else, right? Hopefully. But then also, not only does that happen, but she's also looking at your relationship with her mother, right?
Right.
And okay, I see mommy's happy and daddy's doing this for her and she's doing that. And then that relationship is, and that you're modeling what you want a relationship to look like, right? So you have a responsibility in your own relationship to be who you're supposed to be for your wife, but then also understand that they see everything, right? They are watching, they're listening, even when they're not, even when they're like locked into YouTube. My kids do a YouTube thing too. They're locked into YouTube, right? But every once in a while, you'll hear them like, what'd you say, Dad? Or like, you know what I mean? Or you'll be doing something, you'll look over and they're looking at you like, yeah, I thought you was watching TV, because they're always paying attention. So how you are, the way you move, the way you talk, the way you act, your body language, like all of it is super important, because you are emulating the type of man that they're going to seek out at some point, right? Like we talk about women all the time that have, like, you know, daddy issues or whatever. That's a real thing. Like that,
it is.
That's a real thing. And so for guys that have daughters, like it's another responsibility on your shoulders. Guys who have sons have a responsibility too, because you're modeling the type of man you want them to be. But it ain't no different when you have daughters, right? You still have to be an upstanding dude. You can't be out here messing around, because they see it, right? Like there's no hiding it. They see right through you, right? they know who you really are.
Yeah, they do.
Because they somehow they know, like, I forget what happened, but a few weeks ago, my dog, something happened. I was upset and I was trying to, do my, oh, I'm good. I'm, whatever,
Right, yeah.
I think we had me and my wife had a little disagreement. We don't argue very much. We had a little disagreement. And I was like,
right,
like, I'm gonna go do my thing. So I was taking my daughter to practice, and we're driving. And she's like, Dad, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Like, yeah, no, I'm good.
No, you're not.
Exactly. She's like, no, you're not. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
no, I'm fine. Whatever. And she's like, why are you so quiet then? I'm like, oh, okay. All right. You got me. Yep. She pinned me against the wall. She got me. So, like, they know, man, they're locked in to who you are. I always say, like a dog can smell fear. Like, the kids know they know your feelings.
They do. They do. And it's crazy. You're just like, how did you know that? How do you know that? Yeah, like, and because there are still certain topics. Right now we're good. I would say what got us good was what I'm about to say my daughter said. So one thing our marriage therapist said is men can dish it out, but they can't take it. Which I don't really think that I don't really agree with that statement. For me, it's more along the lines of, we know that women are emotional. Mm-hmm. And so in order for a woman to get connected to a man, we know that they've allowed their emotions to get connected to them. And emotions don't just fade like that.
Right.
Whereas a man with a woman, we can have sex with that woman and be like, bye. And there's no emotional connection. And so we were having a conversation in the car, this probably about a month ago. And my wife and I was trying to explain to her the difference. And as we were riding the car, like, I had the music, you think you got the music up so they can't hear, but the music was up. And so my oldest, she's like, oh my gosh, can y'all just get over it? The past is the past. Move on. If y'all love each other, y'all love each other, because we're sick of hearing it. And we looked at each other like, all right, well, we just got checked.
Yeah.
So let's just leave this alone.
Yeah.
So yeah, they pay attention and they hear me.
It's like they've been here before too, because they be having that wisdom, like
right. How you gonna tell me the past is the past and you 10 years old?
Right. You ain't even got that much past. You don't know nothing about the past. You just got here.
Right. Telling me the past is the past.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That's cool, man. I want to ask you something. Tell me about your shirt. I like that shirt.
So this is it's a word that my wife and I came up together. It's called the Collaborator. And so what we did was we branded it. So basically, when you tune into our podcast, we'll always have these shirts on. And so what it means is, in between collaboration, there's love.
Oh.
So love, it's like when you're loving each other, you're collaborating. When somebody's collaborating, it's because they're loving. So basically, they're intertwined.
I like that, man. Ooh, that's fire. That's fire.
But that's the benefit of me being a graphic designer. So, and the crazy is the way that it came along. Shouts out to David, man, because I've known David for years, and he always brings. Like, I've never seen David wear anything other than Sleepers for Suckers, and I've known him probably like 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
And my wife and I, we were driving. This was during the podcast challenge. Okay. We were driving, and I was like, babe, we got to come up with something to brand on our podcast all the time. And I was like, it has to be a word. And so I was like, it can't be love. It has to be a word that we make up. So as we're driving and we're just brainstorming with a couple different words, and it was like, she said Collaborator. I was like, how you gonna spell it? And so she wrote it out, and I'm driving. Now, mind you, I'm driving, and she's like, yeah, I want you to pick the font. I'm like, I'm driving. So I said, okay. And so now she's sort of the frustrating part of being a graphic designer, because I said, all right, I want you to go online and look through fonts. She's like, oh my gosh, there's thousands of fonts. I was like, yeah, now you know how it feels. So she found the font. Like, truthfully, man, this is really all her. Only thing I did was we got a guy here that does our embroidery for us. I have the account with the t-shirts and everything. And so she came up with the font. I put it in Photoshop, asked her if she liked it. She said, yeah, and we ran with it.
Yeah, I like that, man. I like that a lot.
Thanks.
I even like, I like the message behind it, right? Because
yeah,
the relationship, it is a collaboration, right? It can't be,
right.
It can't, it's people say like a relationship is 50-50. Nah, you got to give 100 and I got to give 100. Like if I'm only giving 50, that means 50% of me is somewhere else and it don't need to be there. So
look, I want to stretch your thinking on that. Let me tell you why.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna take it back to our counseling.
Go for it.
So we had a disagreement, and I was saying that she wasn't allowing me to lead her.
Mm-hmm.
Like she wasn't following. You know how we have these strong Black independent women, and so she kept saying, "I am letting you lead me," and I was like, "No, you're not." So I was like, "You know what? We're just gonna table this for counseling." So we get in counseling, and the counselor, first thing she said was, "Mikel, what's your definition of leading?" So I gave her my definition. She said, "Maria, what's your definition of leading?" So she gave her definition. It was two totally different definitions.
Right.
So she said, the reason why y'all are arguing is because y'all don't define it as the same. And so when we came together on it, I said, I don't mind if she leads sometime. And this is the reason why I said that. I said, because even if you say, if we both given 100, that's still in the middle because nobody's making a decision.
Gotcha.
So that means that somebody has to be 101 and one person has to be 99.
Yeah. Okay.
Or one person has to be 49 and the other person has to be 51 because you're going to lead and choose at different times. You get what I'm saying? So it's not saying that we're not giving 100% each, both of us, but it's like, okay, who's going to take like prime example, dinner. Last week, she was like, babe, I got the menu ready for the week. I'm like, okay. Breakfast, I'm like, babe, I made. So one of us have to lead regardless of what it is. Right. One person has to lead. So, and it's not saying, we're not giving our all. It's just, we have to determine, okay, because again, we got a lot of strong Black women out here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as a man, I'm leading. I'm the head. I'll run the house. But if we don't see, and that's one thing for the fellas that's watching this, if you're dealing with your wife, your girlfriend, even your mom, I would challenge you to ask whatever the subject is you're talking about, find out how you define it.
Yeah.
Because if y'all both define it as something different, you're never going to be able to come to an agreement on it.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I like that. And then it is a lot of give and take. You know what I mean? And there's things that she's better at than I am. There's things that I'm better at than she is. And once you understand what those things are, and even sometimes like some things that I'm better at, I may not have the time to do it. You know what I mean? Or I may not be in the position to do it in that particular time. So I need you to be able to, like, you might have to lead, even though this is typically my thing, right? Like, right. I need you to step up. Like, yeah, so that makes a lot of sense. I like that a lot.
Like she hates driving. But I'm cool with driving, but babe, you gotta understand, if I'm tired, you need to drive this car.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they're all like that, man. Like we go out to the car, like she won't even grab the keys. She just walked past them. I'm like, all right, so I guess I'm driving. Or she'll have the keys in her purse, but then go get in the passenger side. I'm like, I can't even get in right now. Like I don't even have to. So you're just gonna sit in the seat and you're not even gonna offer like, hey, or ask like, hey, do you want to drive? No? Okay, all right. I guess I'm driving. I'm gonna drive for this 15 minutes and I'm like, I'm too sleepy. You gotta drive.
Yeah. One thing my wife told me, she said, while we were separated, like, because we talk about what did we miss? Mm-hmm. What is it that we need? Like, and she said, I really didn't realize how much I valued you driving. Yeah. I said, out of everything, you just want to say you didn't realize how much you value. She's like, yeah, taking out the trash too. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. One of our family friends, the husband passed away 2 years ago. or a year and a half ago. He had cancer. He's an older guy. Like he's older than she was. And I was talking to her last week and she was like, I just didn't realize how much he actually did. Like, you know what I mean? And just little stuff, right? Like just not even like, you know, paying the bills and going to work. It was just like little things that are super valuable that if we don't ever step back and look at our partner and just see all the things we're doing, like you just gloss over it, right? You almost take it for granted. Like you expecting it to happen until like it's on you. Like my wife is she's out of town for the weekend. And so it's just me and the girls. And like right away this morning, like, dang, so you ain't gonna be able to make them breakfast. I guess I got, you know, like right away. It's just like little things, that she would think about because we think differently, right? We think differently. It's little things that she would think about that they're not even on my radar until like, you know, the alarm is going off. I'm like, oh shoot, forgot all about that.
And then you're gonna try to find the fastest thing for them to eat.
Yep. Mess it up.
Lunchtime is like, y'all go get a Lunchable.
Yeah. Right.
Yep.
Like they ain't eat no vegetables all day. I mean, because they had apple. They like apple.
Yeah. apple sauce.
Yeah. Right. Man.
What they eat for dinner? Probably a cold hot dog.
Yeah. You know what? They wasn't even hungry. They wasn't hungry. I asked them, and they wasn't hungry. That happens all the time, man.
Yeah.
We'll just get caught up like on a weekend. Like we'll just be doing whatever we're doing, running around, and then all of a sudden she'll be like, "Did the kids eat lunch?" I'm like, damn. I didn't eat lunch either. Like none of us did. Like hopefully that's gonna be the saving fact. Like no, I didn't. It wasn't like I ate and they starved. Like we all didn't eat.
Yeah. My middle daughter, she's gonna tell you that. She's gonna be like, so, and it's so kids' minds are so interesting to me. So she feels like she just knows she's supposed to get 3 meals a day. So let's just say, you know, I give her lunch or we give her lunch like maybe 3:00. Or matter of fact, if it's like 5 and we like, okay, we're eating an early dinner. Well, they're like, we didn't even eat dinner yet. And we'll be like, yeah, you did. No, that was lunch because it was still light outside. So it's like, you know, they don't understand and they can't process, you know, the time. So yeah, man, trust me, I get it. I just did. I'm really debating on so the reason why I haven't done it, it's a vain reason because I don't want to put the camera on my dashboard in the car and get that sticky stuff on the dashboard. But I'm really contemplating in the morning taking them to school, man. I'll be like, y'all kids are so aggravating. Y'all just aggravating. They want to control the music on the phone. You know, they want to run in the car. They want to be late for school because they forget their mask. My oldest daughter want to put her lip gloss on. You know, the middle one want to get something to eat. The little one want to fall asleep. So yeah. Car Ride Chronicles.
The drop off it is interesting, man. It is interesting.
That carpool line.
Oh man, yo, you ain't got to tell me. I'm drop off and pick up, and so it's a wild, especially now with the whole COVID thing with kids. 'Cause I'm in California, so it's still kind of like
okay,
still kind of like crazy. And especially at the beginning, when school first started, the numbers were starting to go back up. So it was like, you know, some classes could come out at some time and other classes had to stay in. And then like, it was all this shuffling and you got thousands of parents like waiting to get their kid. So the line, like the school is like on a loop, right? So like you can only come one way, right? So if you can only go one way, that means everybody is in this same... I'm like, who designed this? Like, who was like, yo, we're gonna put 1,000 kids in this school, and everybody can only come this way. Like,
man. So my oldest daughter and my middle daughter, they go to the same school, kindergarten and 5th grade.
Okay.
And so when on the first day of school, you know, I pull up, and my wife laughs because I just be like, all right, kids, have a good day. Daddy loves y'all. Boom, I'm gone. Well, it couldn't happen like that because you got all of these new kindergartners.
Yeah.
Mom wants to get out the car and take a picture and walk to their class. Our carpool line was in the street. And then my oldest one was like, oh, come on, this is ridiculous. So I'm like, yeah, so trust me, Carpool Chronicles, boy.
Yeah, yeah, you should do it, man. You should do it. There be some extra content.
Yeah. But I got to get this. We got so right now we have 35 topics to cover.
Nice.
So yeah, 35 topics. So we really want to dive into this. We have our photo shoot on Monday. You know, I've been blessed to have some friends that are videographers, photographers, you know, and again, me being a graphic designer. So, you know, I've really been blessed from that aspect. But yeah, I mean, the amount of people that have been in our inbox, that have text and saying that they need to hear this.
Yeah.
You know, I was talking to one of my homeboys, and he was asking, you know, so what do you mean by transparency and grace? I said, there's nothing my wife doesn't know about me, and there's nothing I don't know about her. He was like, so you're trying to tell me if I want my marriage to get better, we need to have transparency and grace? I was like, yeah. He said, man, there's some stuff I got to take to the grave. I said, well, you're not ready for it.
Yeah.
You're not ready. Like, and it's hard, man. Like, I'm not gonna lie. It's really, again, we're at a good space now because we've already had all of the hard conversations, you know, but the hard part is like, if you trust that the person is going to tell you the truth, but when they come to you with the truth, are you going to have enough grace to not get upset with them?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And if the record is the natural instinct wants to throw it up back in the face when it's a heated argument, you know, okay, all right, so you told me this, let me process it, and we're gonna move. It's hard. It's really, really, it's hard. And again, especially as a man, you know, I heard, I can't remember who I heard say this on the radio. And what he said, he was a guy, he said, if a man says to you, I need to talk, and he's being vulnerable, listen to that man, because if you don't, you'll never get that opportunity again. You know, because society says we got to be strong, right? We can't talk. We got to always be solid. Right. If I'm coming to you as my partner, you know, I need to be able to have this conversation, even if it involves, and don't get it twisted, infidelity is not right. What I'm saying is, in a moment of separating, because we both did infidelity, we had to have enough grace for each other to be like, hey, you know what? We understand why it happened. Right. So now let's focus on making sure that our bond is never broken again.
Right.
You know, so.
Yeah, I like that, man. I like that. I'm going to say this on the podcast so I can hold you to it if you say yes. If you say no, then I'm just going to edit this out. No. So me and my wife, not last year, but the year before, we did like a virtual couples retreat. Actually, it was last year because it was because of COVID, we did it virtually. We did a virtual couples retreat. And we're talking about doing it again in 2022. And since you guys are a couple and you're, you know, about a relationship and you can talk about some of the things that I think are really, really important for people to know, and we can work out the logistics later, but I'd love for you guys to be a part of that, to come on and share your experience, share some actionable items, some things that people could do. I think that would be great, man, because a lot of times, like what you just said about the transparency and like, if you want to move forward or if you want to have like that fully open and like that open heart and you really just love on that person, you have to be. And you have
to, man.
It's hard. It's difficult, right? It's difficult for sure to be vulnerable, especially for guys, like, you know, to be vulnerable to anything, to anyone. Yeah. Right. But it's necessary, right? It's necessary to have trust. Right. So I would love it. And again, like I said, we'll work out the logistics.
Man, look, it's already, you got my info. It's already done.
Yeah, I would love
like
that.
We'll be honored, man. We'll be honored because, like I said, if we went through what we went through last year, and I can only speak for me, and I think I said that in our video that I posted. I don't know about her conversations with God. You know what I'm saying? I only know about mine.
Right.
And I know that I specifically said, if I went through this to help somebody else, I was willing to go through it. And so now I have to share so that I can help somebody else.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and it's especially men, man. Especially men. Like if, and she feels the same way. She feels the same way. We're down with whatever we need to do to make sure that people are hearing our story.
Yeah,
we're down.
Yeah, she actually was how I got connected to you. I had posted something in the group, and she was like, "My husband would be perfect." All right, She tagged you, and I immediately messaged you like, "Okay, all right, let's roll." And she wasn't lying.
Yeah. Let me tell you something, man. And like, listen, I can talk about this for an eternity, but I literally woke up in the middle of the night. I typed this in my phone. I mean, when I say woke up in the middle of the night, I mean literally woke up in the middle of the night. And I put in my phone, when a man is in a good emotional state around his family, he will always have a desire to create, even when he doesn't know what to create. And the reason why I say that is because I'm a natural creator. Man, I've created so many businesses. You know, like I've had socks, I've done styling. I've done a business where I connected people with each other, like, but I never stuck with it. And so when we were having our major issues, I lost my desire to create because it was like, what am I creating for?
Yeah.
You know, and again, we only know what our mind knows. And so we try to fix things based on what we already know. So if a man needs to fix things, and truthfully, that's why a lot of dudes, if you came from the street and you know that's how you was getting money, that's the reason why a lot of dudes go back to the street, because that was their source, and their mind knows anything. Their mind hasn't seen anything beyond feeding them what they need.
Right.
You know, just like me. Okay, I know banking in and out. I tried other career paths, but no, this is what I know. You know,
right.
And I know it well. And you know, and it's so funny because like I hear people talk about banking. You know, I know a little bit about the investments and stuff like that, but I know retail banking. I know, like right now I work in fintech. So fintech, you know, finance and technology, but I'm on the retail side. So I work for a company called Varo, and we are a real bank. People don't understand. There's a difference between Chime and that's again a whole nother topic. But you're not a real bank unless you are FDIC'd and OCC insured. Like that's, you know, but yeah, that's me. That's my passion. I love it. But yeah, man, we would love to connect and be a part of that retreat. Just, you know, again, let us know.
Okay.
And we there.
Okay. All right. So I mean, I know you're dadding it up right now, and I am too. And this conversation is good. So I don't want to hold you too long because I know Saturdays are valuable, and really all our time is valuable when we can be spending with our family and kids. So I had a couple questions to ask you to wrap up, and then I'm gonna let you go enjoy the rest of your day.
Okay.
So this is the first one, and this is the big one for the podcast because obviously it's about fatherhood. And so my question to you is what does fatherhood mean to you?
Man, fatherhood means being an example, leaving a legacy, making sure that your kids always understand the why, not just tell them the why, but make sure they understand the why. And there's been times with me growing up, they'll be like, you may not understand now, but you'll understand later. Well, break it down so that I can understand now. You know, and so that goes back to the example of when I was saying the lesson I taught my daughter when she used my credit card. So, you know, fatherhood is just being an example, making sure that you're there for them, making sure that, you know, you're providing whatever it is. Again, going back to the example of, with my daughter's hair. I figured it out.
Yeah.
Don't let them down. Don't let them down. Like, one thing I never say is yes or no. I always say I'll see what I can do. Because if I'm saying I see what I can do, that I'm gonna see what I can do.
Gotcha.
And 99% of the time it's gonna be the yes, but I don't want to say, let's say if you ask me, can you have Beyonce for your birthday? And if I say yes and I can't get Beyonce, then I look like a failure.
Right.
Versus I'll see what I can do. I tried. If I say no, that means I didn't even try. So now when you come to me and you tell me no, that lets me know that you didn't even try. But I didn't try. So why should you try? So that's fatherhood to me.
I like that. Okay, here's another one for you. Two-part question. The first part is so you're a graphic designer. You also are in banking. So let's say you had to create a pamphlet, right? You putting together all of the graphics and you there's some wording on there. There's some copy on there. This pamphlet is for fathers. For fathers, what is the message that you want to be on there?
That's a good one, man. So the first message would be, I understand. So what I would do is I'll make it'll be bold, and it would say, I understand. And then the next thing it would say is, it's okay to be vulnerable. And then the next thing it would say is, connect with me so I can tell you more.
I like that. Okay. All right. You got them on the hook, right? You got them on the hook. Yeah. Okay. Same question, right? Same question, but now this particular pamphlet is for your kids. What is it that you want them to know?
I'll be like, daddy works hard, right? And y'all are aggravated. But I love y'all. There's nothing I wouldn't do in the world for y'all. And stop trying to use all my money. Yeah, that's what I would definitely say to them.
Yeah, that's a spearhead. That's very
specific. And I would say this: always live in your truth. Always.
I like that.
It doesn't matter what somebody else thinks your truth is, but if that's your truth, just live in it.
Okay. All right. Man, I like those. So if people are listening, want to find you, right, on social media or whatever, like where would they be able to get in touch with you?
So you could follow. I'm on Instagram, and my Instagram is I am Mikel, and then Brown without an O. So it's IAM MIKEL BRWN.
Okay.
And I'm on Instagram more than Facebook, so that's the reason why I gave my Instagram.
Okay. And then where would they find the podcast? Are you guys, have you launched yet?
Yeah, we've launched. So I haven't. I tried to put it on the so I can't. I think I put it. I don't know where I put it, but I can't release any information because we just did we just entered a pitch. So we just did a pitch.
Okay.
So if all I'm gonna say, if you go on Tandil, you'll know what pitch we did, but we can't say what pitch we did. But we just did a pitch, so we can't put any content out.
Okay.
So, but it was just a pitch video, so we can't put that out. But yeah, if you want to follow us there on social media, Instagram is Before You Go There, Facebook is Before You Go There, and if you want to connect with us, just type the word chocolate or text the word chocolate to 404-800-0350. Text the word chocolate to 404-800-0350.
Nice. All right. So I'm gonna make sure I'll put that down in the show notes in case somebody's listening and driving. They can go back to it later and find it and hit you up. Make sure they're following you. Be on the lookout for the podcast. You guys heard, right? You guys heard what all of the amazing things he was saying. Now there's gonna be more of that on his podcast with his wife. And if you're in a relationship, if you're out of a relationship, if you're getting into a relationship, right? Like no matter where you are in that relationship span, you definitely need to be listening to this podcast because just from hearing you talk and seeing the different things in the challenge group, I think you guys are onto something, right? You're onto something big, and I think it's really
Thanks, man.
I think it's really important
Thanks.
that you guys are sharing. So thank you. No, thank you for taking the time out of your day. Thank you for you know what I like to say, like especially listening to you know and seeing you guys kind of move and talking to you now is I got you early. I'm gonna be like down the line, you know what I mean? Down the line, I'm like, man, I had the first interview, like, you know, I remember when, right? I remember when. You know how you be like,
and definitely, man, we want to, and because a part of our Patreon is we're gonna supply people with resources. So definitely have your wife connect with my wife so that she can be a resource for, you know, individuals that have been looking for resources.
Awesome. We'll do for sure. All right, man. Thank you again. Like I said, man, I love the conversation. We could probably get back on and do another one of these things. And
right.
Right.
Just let me know, man. You know, because you know what's so crazy because this is doing live video and stuff is outside of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
So I don't mind. I don't mind. Like, again, I've been a musician. I've played in front of thousands of people. But the actual physical, like, hey, let's put this out there for the world, you know, it's again coming out of my comfort zone. But I'm good. You know what I mean? I'm good. You have to be uncomfortable because there's things that people need to hear.
Right. And outside your comfort zone is where the growth happens.
Right?
Yep. So you got to get outside of it. Definitely got to get outside of it and expand it, right? Expand the comfort zone. That's the dope part about getting outside of it because your comfort zone is like right here, right?
Yep.
The moment you step out now you're getting comfortable in bigger and bigger spaces. And if you want to be successful, you got to be comfortable in anywhere, right? Like I seen a video from Jay-Z. He was talking about he walks in any room as Jay-Z. Like he don't walk in the room and be Sean Carter. Like I walk in the room as myself. Yeah, no matter where I'm at. Like I'm me. I don't change. I don't shape shift. Like I'm going in as me. And that's a large comfort zone, right?
Yeah, it is.
So
but we're only comfortable in the places we know.
Yeah.
Or you know what I mean? Or like a subject that we know about. So like, you know, me talking about marriage or me talking about banking, you know, me talking about my dad dying at 8, like I'm comfortable in that space. So those are the spaces where I need to make sure I have tunnel vision, because if I go to another space, I'm doing the people in that audience a disservice because I'm not giving them 100% of me in that moment.
Yeah.
You know, so again, that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother
episode,
day, man. Yeah, that's what happened when I've been reading a lot, bro.
Yeah, that's good though. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Oh, you mentioned, and I want to know for myself, and I'm just curious, and you know, maybe somebody else will want to know. You mentioned you were reading a book about it from a neuroscientist. I think you said.
Yeah. So Joe Dispenza.
Okay, what's the name of the book?
Oh, let me tell you. I can tell you right now. I believe it's called Living in the Supernatural.
Say it one more time.
I believe that's what it's called, but I want to Living in the Supernatural.
Oh, okay, Living in the Supernatural.
Called, I'm sorry, Becoming Supernatural, and it's on Amazon. Becoming Supernatural. How common people it's becoming supernatural. How common people are doing the uncommon.
I like it.
By Joe Dispenza.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna have to put that on my list, man. The more I talk to people, the more book, like I'm like, dog, I can't read that many books.
Right. Yeah. No, and it's so strong, man. The knowledge in that book is so strong that like I literally have to read it and like, and again, for those that you know that may want to look at getting it, but they're like, man, I don't want to buy that book. So I'm gonna give some of the things he say. You suffer when you can't think greater than how you constantly feel. Blessings are your energy center. Where you place your attention is where you place your energy. Predictable futures are a result of the same familiar past. So yeah, information like that, man. When you get nuggets like that, you just got to be like, oh yeah, let me put this book down for a second.
Yeah, let me process that. Yeah. All right, man. I'm gonna let you go. I appreciate it again. Hold on.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, for sure. Stop the recording right now.